Greetings, welcome back to my channel. Today we are diving into the topic of demand, a cornerstone of microeconomics. So here we have a few table of contents. First one will be introduction to demand, movements along the demand curve, other factors affecting demand, and shifts in the demand curve. So following this video, we can identify all these contents in depth. So let's join in. Introduction to demand. What is demand? It is the amount of a good, which means the quantity of goods and services that the consumers are willing, able, and planning to buy at different prices, keeping all other factors constant. So the law of demand says demand curves slope downwards, but also consumers demand more of a good the lower its price. So there's an assumption called ceteris paribus. It says that other factors affecting demand remains constant. All other factors remains constant, and price is the only factor affecting demand. Here, vertical axis represents the price and horizontal axis represents the quantity demanded. The downward slope of the demand curve reflects the inverse relationship between the price and quantity demand. So it is also described in the law of demand that the demand curve always slope downward. So which means the if the price of something goes up, people wants to buy less of it. And when the price goes down, they want to buy more. That's exactly what is it. Now we skip to movements along the demand curve. Keep note that there are two movements identified along the demand curve. It actually takes place due to a change in price while other factors are constant. The two movements are expansion and contraction in demand. Expansion in demand is the decrease in price. While the price decreases from D2 to D1, the demand increases as shown. For an example, think of it like your favorite phone going on sale. Suddenly, more people want to buy it because it's cheaper. On the other hand, contraction in demand is an increase in price. While the price increases from P to P1, the demand decreases from Q to Q2. Let's take an example. Imagine if the price of your favorite snack doubled in price, you'd probably buy less of it, right? It's contraction in action. It's clearly visible that price and quantity demanded has a negative relationship. Next are the other factors which affects demand. So I have mentioned five factors, namely income, advertising, population, interest rates, changes in the price of other goods such as substitute and complementary. So if you take income as the first factor, increase in income will also increase in demand. This is just a general way. And also decrease in income will decrease the demand. So as you can see, the two categories are normal goods and inferior goods. So if you take normal goods, when the income is increased, the demand will also increase. And if the income is decreased, the demand will also decrease. So we can take a classic example of a normal good, which is clothing. Now, people, when they tend to increase their income, they tend to spend more on clothing, like buying higher quality items, designer brands, fashionable clothing. Similarly, if a community experiences economic growth and rising incomes, people might allocate more of their budget to clothing, leading to an increase in demand for apparel and clothing. So, similar to that, if you take inferior goods, the income, if it's increased, the demand will decrease. And if the income is decreased, the demand will increase. So you can take another common example for inferior goods is the generic or store brand products. So when the people's incomes are lower, they opt for cheaper alternatives to save their money. Similarly, if you take a public transportation, if you consider that as an inferior good, as incomes rise, people may choose to purchase cars and rely less on buses or trains for transportation, leading to a decrease in demand for public transit services. Now, if you take advertising, effective advertising will increase the demand and ineffective advertising will decrease the demand. It is same for population. Higher population will increase the demand and lower population will decrease the demand. These are very easy ones. And also for interest rates, higher interest rates will decrease the demand and lower interest rates will increase the demand. So the fifth topic is changes in the price of other goods. I have put two goods, substitute goods and complementary goods. First, we can refer to substitute goods. So substitute goods are goods we can use instead of another good, like tea and coffee. You can either drink coffee or tea. So if you take tea as a main good and coffee as a substitute good, so decrease in price of substitute goods in the sense the demand for the main good will decrease because people will tend to have more of coffee rather than tea because the price is reduced. And vice versa, if you increase the price of substitute goods, the demand for the main good will increase. Moving on to complementary goods in the sense you have to use that good in conjunction with another good, which means you have to use it together in combination. Now, if you take tennis racket and tennis ball, you can play tennis with both of it, not only one. You cannot play tennis with only a racket or only a ball. You have to use it together. So now, if the price of a tennis ball increase, obviously the demand for the main good will decrease because people will buy tennis ball so that you can not play tennis. So it's the same. If you decrease the price of complementary goods, the demand for the main good will increase. So people will tend to buy more tennis balls. So that's easy to understand. So this will have a negative relationship. Now we have coming to the last topic in the video, shifts in the demand curve. So there are two shifts in the demand curve. First one is shift to right, which happens when you increase the demand, and shift to left when you decrease the demand. So you have to keep a note that shifts in the demand curve only happens when there are changes in other factors. Not changes in the price, only changes in other factors. So changes in other factors means we studied few five factors that you have to keep in mind because those factors only leads to shifts in the demand curve. Changes in the price will lead to movements along the demand curve. So these are few points you have to remember throughout. Hope it's clear.